Okay, hello, welcome back to another game of chess. They're playing e4 as per usual. Our opponent decides to respond with. They go for a Caro Kann, allowing me to play d4. Hopefully we see d5 and not some of this stupid like e6 nonsense that I see often. There we go. And then in this position, unfortunately for you witty alien fans, we're not going to be playing an alien gambit today. We're instead going to be playing e5, pushing past, such that after bishop f5, hopefully, we could see c5 admittedly. But we do see bishop f5, awesome stuff. We can play the Van der Wiel attack with knight to c3, and if they close this bishop out with e6, you know, the classic idea of trying to play e6, basically trying to play a French defense structure without a bad French bishop, then we can immediately lash out with the Shirov variation g4. Oh yes, what a beautiful time to be alive. I actually haven't played this opening it's been a minute since I've played this, namely because I've just been playing a lot of unserious bullet chess while doing my exams for YouTube short stuff, and of course I'm playing the alien gambit there. But I mean, this feels like a warm hug from an old friend as you play knight g to e2 here, preparing ideas of knight f4, preparing ideas of h4 h5. I mean, we are going for that bishop's neck immediately. This is the mainline theory, h5 here, and then as I just mentioned, the idea of playing knight g to e2 here, it seems like kind of a weird move that we can now play knight f4 and attack that bishop and attack that pawn, such that if they drop back here, we can take this pawn. That is actually the main line, and black's doing quite well there. Sorry, I need a sip of tea. I'm slightly ill right now. I do apologize if you could hear in my voice. But they do drop the bishop back. We then get to take this pawn and have a very, very odd position with not an outposted knight, because they could play g6, but if they do play g6, then maybe interesting things will happen. For instance, the f6 square becomes exceedingly weak. But, you know, we win a pawn here. We claim immense space on the king side with a very interestingly positioned knight. They take the pawn here. I'm fairly certain we're supposed to play knight b5. I think we're still in theory here. And the idea of knight b5 is that if we recapture immediately, they can play knight c6 with tempo, to which admittedly we could pin the knight, but we don't actually really want to take that in the end. I think, in fact, playing knight to b5 here says, you know what, we're going to recapture this with our knight. They could play knight c6 to then attack this pawn, but then I think I'm going to play an outrageous move that I would hope is reasonable. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I think we can just play bishop d2. I don't see a reason not to. If we get castled queenside and then just launch all these pawns, and by the way, sorry, the move I was referring to was f4. They didn't defend the pawn. Hold on, maybe I've made a small mistake here. Although, whoa, I don't think so, because the star player of this opening, the knight that's ended up on h5, if this bishop moves and, you know, then uses itself to defend the pawn on d4, okay, yeah, you're defending a pawn. You're not defending this pawn anymore. I mean, we've just got to do it. We take this pawn with check, dislodging the king, ruining the king side. The king comes across here. Unfortunately, we can't play a move like bishop h6, which would be lovely, because they can just, of course, take that. But things are looking extremely suspicious over here. Okay, okay. I wish, you know, for instance, if we had our queen here, there might be a tactic with knight takes e6, forking because of the pin here, but I don't think we're going to be able to set up anything like that quick enough without just losing our knight. It would be kind of funny to do this anyway, take, then play the check. In fact, you can't block that because knight f6, queen f6, the pawn defends both. Just because you can't block it doesn't mean we should play it, which is, you know, a harsh truth that I had to come to terms with. I think probably our game plan now should just be retreat the knight to h5. We're chilling, it's done its job, it's dislodged the king. Admittedly, we're down a bit of tempo, but we're up a pawn and we've got a very clear target for our attack, which is, let's get our king castle queenside and then just play f4, f5 and break this all open with a rook on the f-file. Okay, I think I'm wasting time here. I think I should probably just play knight h5 straight away. I mean, we're still looking at extremely interesting squares here. Bishop h6 could be an idea if this knight is to move. So this knight is kind of at least immediately rooted to the spot. Okay, they are really defending this pawn though, and I may have made a mistake in not taking it so quickly, but we cannot live in the past, of course. We must strive forward. I think I could play bishop g5 actually. Hold on, then we really get on the dark squares around here. Ooh, I do like bishop g5. Maybe queen b6, maybe queen d2, and then we try and castle queenside as quickly as possible. Okay, you know what? Bishop g5 it is. I want to play queen d2 and castle queenside before I just leave my king trapped in the center. Often a way that I find it pretty easy to come up with a half decent plan is by looking at the weaknesses or the targets that we've created in terms of, for instance, a weak king that's rooted basically to the spot here, pretty much stuck in the center, and even if it were to sort of work its way slowly further over to the king side, you know, it's not like that's a safe haven for the king. And I sort of look at that and then I try and take the analog in my position, i.e. my king, and try and make it as safe as possible so that there's sort of as big a disparity between, you know, I don't know if this is rigorously founded chess intuition. I guess, can intuition ever be rigorously founded? I don't know. We're asking some metaphysical questions here. Let's just Let's just focus on the next move here. But I think often it can be nice if your opponent has a weak king, just to, you know, just to flex on him psychologically to make yours as safe as humanly possible, just for the psychological win there. So queen e2. If they take this pawn, for instance, bishop h6 here, check. Hold on, we could be really cooking something up here. I'm playing queen e2. I do not care if you take this. Maybe I should have played f4, just hold this and eventually burst through the center. But again, I kind of like the idea of castling queenside here. I also really like the idea of infiltrating here. They do take this. I thought maybe. Hold on. Check, here. If check and you don't take, I'm going to play bishop g7. We've got to go for this. This king is weak. It just has to be. We pre-move, of course, recapturing. And I'm thinking queen g7, or maybe queen f6. Wait, surely there's this. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Okay. No, I'm not, because queen g5. Although I didn't see this, so I am an idiot still. Yeah, no, this of course does not work. That is... that would lose our queen. But queen g5. Who needs to calculate, am I right, guys? Probably me, actually, because f6. But then check. Yeah. I mean, there's certain moves you just got to play. And when it involves throwing all of your pieces at your opponent's king, we've also got this knight doing kind of a nice job here. They do play f6. Can we not go check? Because, of course, let's say we take here, we just get forked again. This is still... We have not escaped the domain of this knight from f3. But I think playing queen g7 absolutely does escape that, although they drop back with the knight. Okay, but hold on. This is now all very passive. You're not threatening anything anymore. They are defending the rook. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I kind of half just want to castle now, but I think we should make the most of our tempo. Like, okay, what about takes? You got to play knight takes, and then like bishop g5, but then they could push this to defend with the queen. Hold on, they're also threatening to just take this. Maybe I really don't have a move here. Actually, wait, are they? Because then we take here with check. I feel like their king's gonna run. I am genuinely so baffled at this position. Takes here. We could play g5. Do you know how funny that would be? And then g6. I just think probably our queen's gonna get trapped with rook g8 at some point. Oh, this is so... I genuinely, I'm looking at this position. I cannot comprehend what's going on. It's too early in the morning for this. For some reason, I feel like we have to play knight f6 here. Also, time is running low. Or we just play g5 straight away. Hold on, why didn't I think of that? If you take here, we go check, and then we can recapture this. Hold on. We might be cooking now. G5? What if you push? I'm playing G5. I don't know what's going on. But I do know if you take this bishop, this is very soft. So either we take with the pawn or with the queen, and then we can recapture with the pawn or with the queen afterwards, which seems reasonable. Again, this king is getting brutally perturbed. I don't know why it took me so long to think about playing g5 there. They do take. With queen or with pawn? No, hold on. It has to be with the queen because we need to recapture the knight. What am I talking about? Okay, with the queen, they move the king over. Right, this is a potential check. Again, holding these squares is extremely helpful, probably, in some universe. Bishop h3 seems like a move. I probably should just take this. In fact, yeah, taking this comes with tempo on this. It has to be. Bishop h3, upcoming, queenside castles, and rook e1. If we have those three moves in, there's no way they're not getting mated. But we might not have the luxury of playing all those moves because, of course, our opponent has three moves to play as well. Also, I need to be careful that bishop h3 and I just hang this piece. But I do think I should probably have counterplay there. But, you know, castling does seem like kind of high on the priority list right now. I don't know what they play, though. They bring the knight in. Wow. We have check. I need to move. I just need to move. I'm going to go check. I like keeping an eye on pieces. I like freeing up this. Wow. What? Damn, I guess we got to take this. Good news is I think we do now get time to castle here before everything goes completely wrong, although they could take this. But then maybe I go check here. Okay, with the king? Bold move, right. Just castle, because that was a smart move because now everything's not getting torn open. We hold stuff. Our king is doing an amazing defensive job here. I mean, bishop h3, rook e1, like I said, knight f6 also. There's even lines probably where they threaten my queen and I just don't care because if they're to take, I take like this and then this pawn becomes too problematic. That's annoying. I need to move. I don't think I'm getting mated. What is that? Where's the check? We can take back this way and then things should be held. Now there's a mate threat. Here, I just have to move. They take on a3. We go king d2. Oh, okay. Well, guess I've just got to go ultra instinct. A sip of tea to calm the nerves. Their king's nice and cut off here. What's my plan? They take here. I'm just going to play this. Okay. That was good. Only legal move, I think. I want this. This also intercepts this. Insane. Oh dear. I don't know what that was. That was not a good intuition there to have at all. Maybe we just push. Rook d2. I mean, do I just play this? Is that ridiculous? Check. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord, it's too easy. We're just going to pre-move this. I've got 3.9 seconds, of course. Okay, so here we are in the analysis. 85% accuracy with a blunder, a mistake, and 5 inaccuracies. I love inaccuracies though, of course. We seem to have built a bit of an opening advantage, kind of let it slip away, but nothing too deep. I mean, minus 2.6. Probably our opponent had a significant advantage, but wait, after GH6, I guess we should just analyze the game, but then bit of a mess. And then from this point on, we seem to have actually converted relatively well. So interesting game, extremely sharp game. I'm not surprised it wasn't otherworldly levels of accurate. Let's go through it. So I'll keep the Masters database open just for a second, so you can see that. Look, E4, C6, D4, and then once we get into this line, yeah, the advanced variation Van der Wiel. I'm just scrolled up here so you can see the Masters database of my face cam. The point is that after E6, you see that this move played 96% of the times, with a pretty decent win rate for white. G4, although all the Masters know all the theory. I believe if we look at the Lee chess database here, you'll see that, yeah, G4 52% win rate is pretty high with reasonable draw rate and only 44% loss, which over 500,000 games says to me this is pretty sharp, and people often fall foul of the traps involved. So yeah, here G6, knight G2 therefore, or thereafter, I guess. And then yeah, C5, you can see this is all mainline stuff. H4, H5, knight F4, bishop H7, knight takes H5, they take, knight b5 is in fact the best move. That's lovely. Good remembering of the theory there. We're still following 112 master games, and then they were the first to diverge from that master level theory. The move would have been knight c6, would have probably recaptured on d4, etc. But instead, they play bishop b4. We go for the little block there. Then we take on g7. Okay, yeah, so this is a bit of an erroneous idea just because that bishop really needs to be defending the g7 pawn. The king comes across, we step back with the pony. Okay, engine tells me that actually b4 is the best move here, which I don't even have words for that. Yeah, okay, I guess. Oh, actually interesting, because if it moves back, then we might be able to jump in here at some point, but this is something I could look at in the future. But knight h5 is a great move. And then I played bishop g5, which actually let some advantage slip. We should have played knight d6, which if they just choose to take, and then recapture, they can absolutely just win back the pawn, have a pretty dominant looking center, admittedly not a great king, and we're supposed to just play a move like a3 here, and I guess just try and keep the attack going down here, maybe develop the bishop somewhere, bring the rook to the f file. I wouldn't be surprised if the engine likes developing the bishop, castling kingside, and then playing f4 and f5. I've done that before, but honestly, I kind of like the idea of keeping more material on the board and going for more sort of high tempo attack. So yeah, queen d2 here, they take the pawn, we go check, which is inaccurate, another check, and then g5 is inaccurate. But again, look at this position. Like, look at the state of all the pieces. Look at all the tension everywhere. It's the kind of position where if black has a minus 1.8 advantage, if things aren't obvious, it's likely they're going to mess up at some point and white's going to come out on top, which is clearly what happened. This is the kind of chess I like to play, not necessarily objectively perfect, namely because I can't play objectively perfect chess. But instead of g5, it wanted bishop d2. It just wanted to say, no, you can't have the bishop. We're going to leave this here. I guess the knight still can't move, which kind of makes sense, but I really like g5 anyway. They take, we take, which we should have just castled queenside. Come on. Okay, I have no idea. We take here, then we take the knight, and then they play knight d6, which they messed up on because they should have defended the knight instead, setting up a potential discovery, I guess, where it's then less obvious where we should put our queen immediately. Going here allowed check, which is awesome. Then I should have played knight here. I mean, with this analysis, we're not going to go deeply into loads of these lines. I guess knight here threatens mate. So yeah, look, if you take here, this is just checkmate. So it does make sense that this would have come with tempo. But again, in a position this sharp with a king this weak and some pieces this active, there are going to be stuff that I've missed, or rather there is going to be stuff that, I don't know what the correct grammar is there. But yeah, they take with the king. Now, they should have taken with the bishop. Probably leaving their king a little closer to maybe finding some solace, here, and sneaking the king back into BA. I'm not entirely sure, but they do bring the king a little more out to the open. I castle, which is a mistake. I should have played knight f6 again, which actually, I guess I did just miss this idea of threatening quite a meaningful thing here, as well as the kind of fork on the bishop. So okay, missed knight f6 a couple times, instead castled. They should have played rook g8, instead they just hung the bishop. But I guess I had 30 seconds, and so they thought, let me make it really complicated, because queen here does look nasty. But after this, they take, we just start running, take here. I do have 14 seconds, but knight f6 there. I mean, I'm kind of just glad I played knight f6, or didn't play knight f6 when I could have, because knight f6 there is beautiful. Not only a move threatening checkmate here in some amount of moves, I'd imagine. Like check here, check, probably would have been mate, but also a beautiful defensive just interception move saying, now you don't have a checkmate here. Knight f6 there really changes the kind of the tide of things. Like I'm definitely on the back foot here. I've got 14 seconds, 13 now. Knight f6 gives me the upper hand, given that they have to defend. I now have 12 seconds. I just decide to defend, bring this up, etc. But then, for some reason I push the pawn, but we come back for this check. Lovely. The king comes across. Had they pushed this, it does open the king up to attacks along here, which could have been interesting. But instead they move across. We give a check. Then we take... Hold on. It was mate in 6? We give the check, it goes down to mate in 5. We take it goes down to mate in 4. Then it's mate in 2. Okay. Efficient checkmating, that's for noobs. We don't do that out here. Instead, we find the this beautiful finish where we've walked the king. We've absolutely walked the king across to be checkmated on a5. I mean, originally the king was dragged across here to f8. And then eventually, throughout the preceding moves, we walked it across, all the way across here. A little bit messy, you know, of course, a little bit messy. But ending up all the way over on a5 is pretty sweet. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that game. It was definitely super interesting, definitely super aggressive and attacking, and hopefully give you some inspiration to try out this Shiro variation against the Caro Kann. If you did enjoy, like, comment and subscribe for more in the future, and comment an opening that you'd like to see me try in the future. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.